Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome to GDSC IIST, and thanks for joining in. Today's session is about demystifying SRE and PE roles. And today we have with us a very special person, someone who has inspired me from the day one of my college and still inspires me. He was a 2020 IIST Shibpur pass out, and so he's basically my college senior. And he did his internship in media.net and then got a full-time role as an SRE in media.net. Currently, he's working as a production engineer in the tech giant, the Meta, earlier known as Facebook. Not just that, he was even a Google Summer of Code mentee for the organization CERN. You might have heard CERN, Large Hadron Collider at Geneva. That's CERN. He also played a very he encouraged a lot of cybersecurity and ethical hacking in our campus. And he was also the security lead of Dark Society, which is the hacking club of IIST Shibpur.
Yeah,
And without wasting any more time, I'll just welcome Rahul Indra Bhaiya. Thanks for joining in. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Arnav, for your kind words and letting me, going down the lane,
Yeah.
always memory lane that I used to do in college. Yeah, thanks a lot. Anyways, like I also want to thank you all guys for keeping keep on increasing the people who are into cybersecurity. Like thanks to Arnav and also to Ipina, I guess they used to do a lot of CTS. I remember last time. So uh, I started, like, I think I was just alone in my batch, and there was one
Yeah.
senior as well from me, from Arun Bhaiya. So he used to teach us as well. And then you guys started from there. So thanks for that as well. Keeping on, not making it, just whoosh. And also, like, I have seen like my juniors, like you are, I think, my immediate juniors, they were doing very good. Now, I mean, you can count any company, be it Google, be it Microsoft, or be it GSoC. I mean, and be it dad scholarship, like people are doing very well, and I am glad that you guys are doing very well. And uh, let me see, like, if I can make any dent in that your career selection, because people are mostly into software engineering and just sorry. So people are mostly into software engineering, I guess, and especially in our college, and they don't understand the other parts of engineering as well. Like there are DevOps role, there are site reliability engineer role, or production engineering. It's a potato. It's the same thing. So there are different roles as well. Like in data scientists, there are data engineers, machine learning, software engineering, machine learning. They're like also the combination of this, and there are other role as machine learning researcher. It's a different aspect. So they are like, I think like in industry, they're like right now there are many roles that you can explore based on your uh, like what you like, what you like to do, right.
Yeah.
So I am here to let you understand like what is site reliability engineering or what is production engineering. But yeah, I'm hoping to have good questions so that I can give proper answers. I'm very shy person personally. Like if I don't have any question, I can't formulate any answer, right? So I want questions from you guys. So I want these sessions to be more interactive. That's my plan.
Yeah, so we've rolled out a form with the while promoting this thing, and I got a couple of questions there. So,
Yeah,
and some of them were repeating questions. So I've organized them so we can go through them. I have a bunch of questions, and
sure.
then we can open up to the audience. So we have a Q&A section in the chat. So either you people can put it in the chat or in the Q&A section. We will pick those up and we'll go through all the questions and clear your doubts.
Sure,
So
sounds great.
let's start with the very basic question. We all know about the SDE role. It's
Hmm.
pretty much common among the freshers. We also had a session on product management role, so that too aspect is clear. And initially, when I rolled out a form, people were asking, "What is this role?" Like they don't even have a clue about this SRE role. So why
Exactly,
don't we
yeah.
just go through what are the usual job responsibilities of an SRE, the day-to-day responsibilities, or what is expected from an SRE?
Exactly. That, I mean, that's the basic question everybody will
Yeah.
have. In fact, I had. So when I was interviewing for SRE in the college, so this company called Media.net, which is part of a direct enterprise. So they came up with this SRE role, and I never heard of it, right? So, as a matter of fact, when they sent me a mail, like not me, I mean everybody in the college who were preparing for direct type. So we got a mail about ST and SRE, two part of their roles. So I literally went to Google and typed SRE. What is SRE? So then I got to know, oh, it's a different role coined by Google itself, right? It's
Yeah.
called Site Reliability Engineer. So if you go to Google website for Site Reliability Engineer, I think what it is, I think SRE.google. That's it. So if you go to that website, you will see that there's a line written that class SRE extends DevOps. What does it mean actually? So let's go back in the back in the history.
Sure.
So if you go to, I mean, when internet was created, people used to write just HTML pages to put their information that, hey, I am this, I am that, I am that, or maybe their business, or maybe their some industry used to put their information. That's it. It was not more than that, right? But as
Yeah.
time went by, internet went huge source of information. Like I mean, just think about right now. Like, if you want to do anything from booking our tickets to listening music to watching videos, anything at all, it all,
Yeah.
everybody, everything is on internet, right?
Internet.
So, as time as time elapsed, the demand of internet increased, and hence the huge amount of data came in, right? And then huge amount of users were there for one single uh, entity, as a, it could be app, it could be web app, it could be any service on the internet, right, on the computer. So since it increased, the software engineer's role was something like to create a app, or to create a service, or to create an website. That's it, right?
Yeah.
So as time increased, I'm sorry, time elapsed. So what happened that uh, if you're serving one, so let's say Facebook.com was being served on one computer, like when Mark Zuckerberg started in his
Yeah.
university, right? And then it became viral, and then he had to learn the whole servers from his university, and then it also went down because of large amount of data
Traffic. Yeah.
coming and traffic coming in ongoing. So you can understand like what's happening here, right? So
Yeah.
if one software engineer is there, so he is mostly developing something, and then when more users are coming, more traffics are coming, he or she has to also handle the traffic. So for handling the traffic, the person has to know how networking works. If the data is getting saved in a disk, let's say that disk goes wrong, that disk, uh, let's say, corrupted. What happened? Like all the data went, bush. So
Yeah.
what can you do? You can go for the backups. So all this kind of operational task, you can say, or you can say the reliability part, right? If you guys have studied fault tolerant part in your syllabus, right, in distributed system, I guess. So you'll understand like what fault tolerant is, making a system fault tolerant, making a system more reliable. So if there is a data, you make more redundant data by copying it, by keeping the backup that file, so that in case that driver or that disk went wrong as in it can catch fire, it can just go corrupted, it can, and somebody like us, we all are humans, we can make many errors, we can just go and do rm-rf, everything is deleted, right? So in that scenario, the data are very important. So these all kind of aspects comes into the hand of site reliability engineer or production engineer. So we want, I mean, in simple words, let's say software engineers are for just developing products, and we are the person who are behind that. Software engineers are, you can say, uh, they are, I mean, they develop the magic of how app will work, and we develop the magic how the app will remain, like keep on working in the
Got it.
background.
Got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That's a simple thing I can say in simple words. So in the role itself, it said reliability. So the main purpose is to make everything reliable, to make keep it working by
Yeah.
any by any aspect, like you need to understand how the computer works, right? So there could be one department who is taking control of all the data. There's another department who is taking control of all the networking. Then there's another department who's taking control of all the memory and CPU uses. Sorry, right? So this is how everything working. And in every field, in every aspect of this, like what I told you, disk, networking, or CPU and memory, there is a room for improvement all the time, right? So let's say you are using WhatsApp, right? And
Yeah.
you're sending a message to me, and it is going to reach in 1 minute. Is it a good experience? No, right?
No. Yeah.
So I'll ask my team, hey, let's look into what is happening into memory and CPU uses. Is there any lag because of that, or is it because of there is a lag in disk writing, like writing and reading process? Do we need to change it from hard disk to SSD, or more faster uh, storage? It could be cache, or it could be something else, right? So there are like many things that I can keep on blabbering about, but I'm just keeping it in simple words. So that what is happening in the background. Many people I think know about high level designing and low level designing when they are, I think most of the students are now learning about system designing. So if I say about site reliability engineers, so they care about high level designing, like how the system will look like, the use of load balancers, use of queues, message queues, use of containers, or use of which kind of disk, right? So these all come into high level designing, right? And low level designing is like what software engineers do. So they will
Okay.
start learning about before developing a software, they will uh, have a brainstorming session where they will understand like how the database schema will look like, right? Just a minute. Let me just a minute. I'll make it silent. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so that is like in short form I can say about like the difference between software engineering role and site reliability engineers. And also like many people are very confused about like what are exactly site reliability engineers. So Google came up with this idea that, hey, let's bring some software engineers, teach them operational tasks, and make a one team, because DevOps used to do this all stuff, but they used to do using some tools. So they were very, and there were a lot of manual interventions. So what Google planned, like, let's bring some software engineers, so they will have some software engineering skills, and let's teach them operational tasks. So how to handle all this stuff, let's teach them system stuff. And then with the mindset of software engineering, so they can develop new tools which can make their life easy, right? So that's what Google did. And so in simple words, you can say site reliability engineers are software engineers who are more into operational tasks, who are
No.
more into reliability tasks. Yeah.
So basically, like if I take the example of WhatsApp, so there is an SDE or an SWE who is writing the, let's say, the API or the service for sending the message,
Yeah.
and it's comes to the SRE to make
Yeah.
sure that the implementation of sending the message is working properly. It's not
Yeah.
taking a lot of time. So
Yeah.
kind of like
Yeah.
SD works on the logic and SRE works on the implementation of that part and make sure it operates in a
Yeah.
reliable way.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Let's say you took a good example. Let's say you are developing, you as a software engineer working for WhatsApp, and you're developing an API. So you just developed an API,
Yeah.
and you you started, you know, keeping it in production, deployed in
Yeah.
production. And then as an SRE, I saw that it is taking more than 200 milliseconds to give me the request back,
Yeah.
right? So I'll go and escalate this matter to you. Hey, you have implemented this API. It's taking more than 200 milliseconds, and it's not good, right?
Okay.
We want to have it at least 200 milliseconds, or it's best if it's less than 200 milliseconds, right? So I'll come in with you, collaborate with you, and work with you the implementation, how you have implemented that API. Is there any problem? Sorry. So problem as in like we do profiling, a lot of profiling. You can do the profiling as in, I mean, which part of code is taking how much time, and so it's basically debugging, right? So let's say
Yeah.
you call an API, and that API is making a request to database. So there could be a possibility that database is running slow, because
Yeah.
that database base is persisting its data in hard disk, not in SSDs or not in cache, right? Let's say this API is very frequent, and I mean frequent as in it is requesting data most of the time, like many times, and you can make it cacheable, and you can keep those data in cache. So it will make that API call faster, right?
Yeah.
So this kind of thing I can suggest to you, and we both will work together and implement that and make it more faster. The latency will be more less. So that's what site reliability engineers can do. Yeah.
I think you brought a very good point. Like a lot of us have that myth that SD works separately and SRE works separately.
Yeah.
They are doing their job,
Yeah.
but in real scenario, they are both collaborating together to make
Yeah.
sure that the product at the end of the day is much more user friendly and it's more user can use it. It's easily scalable and everything.
Yeah.
So
I'll put one saying here. So basically, you should not use sword where you can use needle, right? So that's one saying. What I wanted to do, what I wanted to say, because let's say there's one team which doesn't require any software engineers, then they are good to go with just production engineers or site reliability engineers. Such team could be just database team, right?
yeah,
Why
yeah.
would you require software engineers in that part? So what I'm saying that it depends on team to team. It depends on company to company. When the P's can have Swiss partners or Swiss can have P partners, right? So there are few teams which are just full of production engineers. There are few teams which are just full of software engineers, and there are many teams which has P's and Swiss. Both of them are
Got it.
working together
Yeah,
because they just want, because there could be some softwares or there could be some apps which doesn't require any more reliability. So why should you waste your resource in that part, right?
true.
So we I mean most of the companies uh, right now are using their Ps or maybe site reliability engineers. Or I think right now few startups, what they do, they hire software engineers, and they ask their software engineers to learn the aspect of DevOps or site reliability engineer as well. But with the time, as the startup is growing and as more users are becoming part of that startup, at one time they will be hiring more SREs or more Ps, because they will be entirely a different department who will be responsible for taking care of all the services running fine or not. So if you remember what happened in Facebook, I think on 4th October, 8th October, I don't remember. I think it's the 4th
Yeah,
October.
4th October. Yeah,
4th October, yeah.
the
So
BGP. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, let's not go into deep because people won't understand. But what I'm saying, like on 4th October, the outage happens. It was so huge that Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, all of the services were not running, right?
Yeah.
And people started looking at the internet if the internet is going bad. So you can see like how reliable this, Facebook or Google, these all giants are. People start looking into, like, people uh, you know they think that their internet is not working.
Yeah.
So but what I am saying, like, this kind of issues amount them a lot of cost. Like, I think for Facebook it was 6 billion in 6 hours. It was a huge amount, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, so these big companies can't afford to have that much of loss. So
True.
what they do, they will start creating funding, and they will start hiring Ps or site reliability engineers who will take care of this, who will make all the products SLAs and SLO. There's like few terms in industry, basically making it more reliable, making it more less downtime for each of the services. Ideally 100% reliable, but it doesn't happen because we are humans. We make errors, and because of that, machine make errors.
Yeah.
So we want to minimize that downtime as much as possible. So that's the plan. So what I was saying, that uh, with time, as the startup grows, the demand of SREs will increase for each startup. And you can see, I think in India it has started a lot. Like, many companies have started hiring SREs, be it Zomato, be it Paytm, be it Swiggy. I think a lot of them have started hiring, right?
Yeah.
So one other issue that I have, not issue, I think misconception that I have heard from many students, that bhaiya, like, bhaiya or sir, do SREs get less pay than SDs or SWEs? Well, let me be frank here. If you're going to good company, or I mean leaders in the industry, not any small startups, they could be taking advantage of that because these roles are not very popular in India. So they can say, hey, this role is not popular, so they will give you less pay. But if you go for Microsoft, Google, Facebook, and even Zomato, Paytm, I heard like they are paying similar pay what SDs are getting, not less, not more. So you don't have to, I mean, because of this, uh, I mean, I have faced these questions that, yeah, like I'm going to get less pay. Why should I join when I can, grind lead code questions and go for
And
software
SDG role, yeah.
software development role.
Hmm.
So I mean, it depends on you. I'm not asking you to go for SRE or PE. I'm not asking you to go for other roles than software engineer. If you like, you should go. But what I am saying, if you are good at something, so why to sacrifice it when you are going to get same pay, when you are going to get same benefits, right? So I mean, that's my plan. And I want to create a community here with you guys, like all the students who are more interested into going to SRE role, PE role, because it's more interesting. And I have seen many software engineers going, I mean, shifting from SD role to SRE role, PE role. In the last company, in the current company, people are going, I mean, people are changing it. So this is happening a lot because you are not losing anything. In fact, you are gaining more thing. So you'll have more hands on systems. You'll have
Yeah.
you'll have more, saying on how the whole infrastructure should look like around a around service, around an app, around a web app, anything. So it's a better thing, right? So I mean, I don't see like why there is a this misconception there. And also, if you know the rule of demand and supply, so
Yeah.
I can say like the demand is huge and supply
Hmm.
is very, 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 very less. So
Yeah.
that's the
Like,
scale. That's the scale right now for SREs and Ps. Demand is very huge and supply is not that sufficient.
makes sense. Like right now, like whenever we talk about products and new companies, tech companies coming up, we talk about scale, how big they are.
Yeah.
And as you said, as the scale increases, companies will need more reliability engineers, more production engineers to make sure that their main product is being reliable and the users are being able to access that. And I actually answered a lot of the other questions that I had. Like
Yeah.
one of the questions was the pay was one of the questions regarding that.
Yeah.
So you answered that, and also whether or not the availability of SRE is just restricted to big companies or small startups also have that.
Yeah.
I think you also answered that question. Um, so my next question is like someone who is, let's say, aspiring to be an SRE.
Hmm.
Like right now maybe they are a college undergraduate and want to do an internship or a
Yeah.
full-time role. What
Yeah.
are the core concepts, what are the core topics that they should be preparing for, interview wise, or like when they're in the job, what are the tools they would be needing? So if you can just cover those part.
Yeah. Interesting question. So, and most asked question for us, for this, I guess. So, I mean, it's a. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah,
You
you're,
audible? Yeah. Cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So, what I was saying, like, it's. I mean, how should I put it? I
Maybe
mean,
like,
there's no
yeah.
fast and hard rule, right?
Hmm.
Ki- you should do this and this and this, and you will be done. I am not pointing any finger on SD rule, but they are like fixed syllabus for freshers, right?
True.
Again, I'm not pointing any finger, but I'm saying that there's a fixed syllabus for SD. You can do this
Yeah.
and you'll get into it. But let me make it more simple, like give an idea like how you can start. So if you remember, like I used to do most of my time, uh, spending my time in doing CTFs
Yeah.
and also developing few things like on my own, like developing few apps or something like that. So why I used to do it, because I had this thirst in my mind all the time, like how particular thing works, right? So let's say if there's a computer, how does the computer work? At last we all learn that it's the magic of just zeros and ones, but
True.
how does everything translates to zeros and ones? So if
Hmm.
you keep on asking questions for each service or each device that you get your hands on. Let's say there's a popular question, I don't know, like in my life, because this question was asked in one of my interview. So this person asked me like, when you're listening to a music on your phone and you get a phone call, why does the music player stops? Why does the music player stop, right?
Yeah.
This is one interesting question. So you can keep on asking questions around you. Let's say, uh, what should I say? Uh, you are sending a photo from WhatsApp to another contact. How does this happen? How does this happen in background? So you can start learning the system design around it. So these are like very high. I mean, I'm giving a high overview,
Yeah.
high level thing you can say. But for starting, I would say you should start learning operating system, networking, and coding is important, really important. So I have also got this question here, but yeah, like you, if you are going for SREP, or do they ask lit code questions, do they ask any basic question, or do they ask coding question or not? Because they have, I don't know, like how do they know this, or how do they get this impression that in SRE you don't get to write a lot of code? But that's not true. Because ultimately they are software engineers. They will develop codes which are not for users use, but for the internal people use. And so to
Yeah.
make things reliable, so to make things I mean, automation part of things, like you can have uh, set some alerts, set some monitoring, right, to understand like what's going on. So that you don't have to go manually and write some command line arguments or some command line commands to get all this data.
Yeah.
Basically, you can write a software which will, fetch all this data and put you in nice dashboard. So this can be an example, right? So they do write code, so you need the coding part as well. In fact, for me, there were interviews for coding, even in media.net, even in Facebook, or sorry, Meta.
Yeah.
So these are the basic things. Like you should start learning OS, networking, every parts of it. So in OS, it could be how does uh, process scheduler works, right? How does like what are interrupts? How does it work, and why do we need interrupt? These are like basic questions you could be asked. Or even for disk, like what are SSDs, what are HDD, what are cache, NVMe, this kind of questions, right? How
Yeah.
does like you must have heard, like for networking, there's a one popular question: if you write www.google.com or
Yeah.
www.facebook.com in browser, what happens in the
What
background? Like,
happens? Yeah.
yeah, let's go from starting to the point, starting point to the end point. Similarly, there's a very popular question for systems, like when you click on power on button on your laptop, from starting up that point to having a nice GUI in front of you, what does happen in the background? So you can ask such questions. You can, I think for this there's a better answer on GitHub, I remember.
Yeah. And this
So
a bunch of
yeah,
stars, like 1K stars. Yeah.
bunch of stars, yeah. So you can learn from there. So these are like starting point. Also, I don't know if it's allowed to do the promotion here, but
Sure.
anyway, I just throw it. So I'm planning to start a YouTube channel where I am planning to uh, create short videos for each topics, so that people can have an idea like how to prepare for this role. So it won't be similar to what I experienced in my interviews in maybe in media.net or Facebook, but it will be more generalized for everybody, for any company, so that you can have an understanding from system designing aspect, from a systems aspect, from networking aspect, from coding aspect. So you are mostly you know responsible for writing some scripting code or making things automated, right? So for that
Yeah.
you need more scripting. It could be Python, it could be Golang, or if it's very close to systems, it could be C++. So it's mostly scripting kind of coding interviews. But in big companies like Google and Facebook, there will be some DSA around as well.
Yeah.
So you can't just untouch DSA and algo around for any role, if it's a software engineering role.
Got it. And
Yeah,
what about system design? Is that asked
yeah.
as well?
Yes, so you will be asked system design question as well. So it won't be LLD, low level designing. It will be
Okay.
more of a HLD, high level designing. So you will be asked to design a, uh, let's say, if I ask you how to design Google collage system, like
Hmm.
you have a bunch of photos and you create a collage. Such
Yeah.
system, how will you create? Or maybe uh, Facebook feed system, how does it work in background? HLD, not LLD. So these kind of questions would be there.
Got it.
And right now it's the most important interview round, the system design. So if you do well in all of them, and if you do, I mean, if you make any small mistake in system design, then you're gone.
I see. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the most important uh, round for SREs, or even for software engineers, as far as I know.
Yeah. So like it's one of the determining rounds. So like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And so I wanted to, like, at the end I wanted to talk about your YouTube channel. So like if you
Yeah,
once you create the channel, do share it with me or anyone, and I will post it in our community, and so that
sure.
everyone can get access to that.
Sure,
And
sure, sure.
that's an
That's
amazing
my plan.
initiative. Like
Yeah, that's
yeah,
my plan actually. So to get feedback from you guys and keep on improving. I mean, like I
sure.
said, like I can talk with people, make things like interactive. So you are asking me questions, I am giving an answer. I am getting input, you are getting input.
Yeah,
It's working fine. But once you start YouTube channel, it's just camera and you,
true.
and it's I think it's very difficult, and it's an art. People learn with time. So yeah, I'll try. Let's see.
Absolute all the best for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And so, like you covered a lot of the way, kind of like a very short way how freshers should prepare so that
Yeah,
they can get land themselves a job as an SRE.
yeah.
And now regarding that, like let's talk about the resume structure. Like let's say someone is applying for a front end engineer. We know they need to have some projects related to front end. For back end, there should be some project related to back end. For SD, it's usually some project and then competitive programming profiles and all that stuff.
Yeah.
For an SRE, what are the things that should be on the resume to when you're applying for an SRE role? Like, what are the things that a recruiter who is recruiting an SRE looks for?
To be honest, I don't know.
Okay.
Because
Uh,
I'm not a recruiter. I haven't got any feedback with my resume. But why not to get an inspiration from my resume? I just put my
sure.
link.
Yeah. I think that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, let me search. I think it's on my GitHub, because I made it public. Anyone can come and look into it, and I'll give credit for that as well. There's a person called Shubham Bajaj, or Saurabh Bajaj. Sorry, Saurabh Bajaj, I guess. So he created this template, and I think Saurabh Bajaj. Yeah, Saurabh Bajaj. So he
Okay.
created this template. I use this template. I'll give credit for that, for this, to that guy. But yeah, you can look at the content what I have in my resume.
Yeah.
But I think if you're able to show different aspects of computer science, not software engineering, because I think I have shown that I worked in machine learning part at some point of time. I
Yeah.
worked in when I was working for Media.net as an intern. So I was mostly into, uh, I mean, extending the disk performance, right? So there was some delay in disk, and I tweaked some parameters and tested something, and then made it more faster, and also created some services which were not there for monitoring the disk performance. So I created that service, which is still running, I suppose. I hope so. And it gives you a nice dashboard, so that everybody in the team can have an understanding what's happening with the disk right now in the whole infrastructure, so that you don't
Oh,
have to
okay.
go and look into each disk, putting commands and then having the numbers and then making sense out of it. Other than that, you can have a nice look at the dashboard, and you'll have understanding quick, right? So click the filter, and you can select one host, you can select other disk, something like that, right? So uh, so for this thing, for this project, I need to have software engineering skill where I can develop something. I need to have the skill of how disk works. There are types of disk, like storage types, right? SSDs or SDD or cache, something like that.
Yeah.
So this kind of understanding of if you learn more into disk, so there's like write operation, read operation, and for each operation there are queues, right? Queues as in, like the basic data structure queue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you will create a file, there will be a task created. So
Yeah.
there will be disk scheduler who will schedule your task and put that task in a queue.
Yeah.
So, so it also depends like how you're scheduling this task. So you can tweak that as well. You can tweak the queues as well, which kind of queue you can use. So tweaking all this thing based on your requirement, how you are, I mean, how your disk is operating. So all this kind of tips and bits you can learn, and
Yeah.
then you can use it in it. So I think if you are able to show all this stuff,
Yeah.
so you will be good to go. Because in CERN, I also worked in a team which were mostly into monitoring all their alerts. So they used to have different sites, you can say, where there are many large computers are running. Those computers used to uh, run all this physical or mathematical calculations all the time, and they used to produce a lot of data, a lot of logs, and a lot of if mathematics is very huge. So if you, let's
True.
say you are multiplying something and it becomes infinite, and your computer will get stuck, right?
Yeah.
You can just exhaust memory quickly. So at that time, that computer freezes, and you'll get an alert that, hey, this computer is frozen, you have to restart or something like that. You have to make sure that this is happening and this is running again, right? So you will get all these alerts. So they are like, there were alert systems in CERN, but there was not a centralized system where you can just have a look at one point of time, at one point, and have an understanding of whole organization. So that was the issue. So I worked for that. So I created one central system where they'll have look for I mean, sources for alerts from different part, and I just create one system and ask that system to ingest all these alerts and create a nice dashboard. Or I also created a CLI, command line argument, because they were interested in using the CLI, just putting that CLI and some filter, and they'll get the information in a tabular form. So that's what I did. Uh, I I worked in machine learning aspect when I was in Vienna. Before that, what can I say? I used to do a lot of CTFs. You can also show that you used to do CTF, because when you're doing CTF, you'll I think you can answer it in a better form, because I haven't done very well in CTFs. I was all alone, and you had a good team in your college, I guess.
Yeah.
So you can answer that as answer that. I mean, better than me, I guess. But yeah, when you do CTF, you will have hands-on experience on multiple things, be it binary exploitation, be it web exploitation, be it cryptography as well. So you learn about cryptography, what it is, how does it work.
Yeah.
So many people use SSH, and they don't know how does it work. I remember, like, when I was in Emirates and I was taking an interview for a few students, and they were interviewing for I think SRE role, SRE or SD, I don't remember. But they were interviewing, and uh, I asked the person, like, just write the code and uh, just write the code and compile it and run it in front of me. So the guy said that I don't know how to compile the code, and he was writing code literally in C++, right? So if it was Python or something, he could have answered that. But he was writing code in C++, and he said that I can't compile it. So I said, you are a good coder. I can see you have done good things on CodeChef. It was not, I mean, best or very good, but he was like more than average, I can see.
Yeah.
So I asked him, like, how you used to code then. So he said like, I used to write code in my I mean, Sublime text,
Sublime text. Yeah.
some editor, and I
Yeah.
used to copy and paste it in the online jar, and it used to run. So I was literally amazed that there are few people, I mean, they are learning computer science, and they don't even know what is compiler. They're writing code in C++, and they don't know how to compile a code. So I mean, that hurts me actually. So how can you do that? I mean, it's just a shame. So you are a computer science student, you don't know how to compile a code. So that was a problem. That's a problem I can see. Like, uh, start asking questions for anything. For I mean, if you learn theory of computers, I mean, it's a beautiful subject to understand how does a computer work, theory of computation, and then compiler design. So you will know how exactly compiler works, right? Making everything zeros and ones, literally. Whatever you write in English, I mean, literally, Python is a Python is an English interpreter, I guess. So you write everything in English, and then everything becomes zeros and ones. So, sorry, I just flew away. Where was I? Sorry.
So compiler
Uh,
compiles
but-
whatever writing to zeros and ones, and
yeah, yeah. So the question was like, what should I mean, what should be on resume, right?
yeah, that was the actual question.
Yeah. So I was saying like you can do CTFs, you can start doing CTFs, actively participating in it, because just doing CTF you will learn a lot of things.
True.
Binary exploitation, you will learn how, uh, I mean, what happens exactly when you write code in C++ and you compile it, and then it becomes in machine language. Because
Yeah.
before that, it is in mostly into assembly language. So you understand what is in assembly language and then machine language, right? So, uh, so that is binary exploitation. In web exploitation, you can learn a lot of things like React or PHP or JavaScript, a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And what else?
Um,
Cryptography, you can learn about
yeah.
cryptography in like, what is AES algorithm, what is RSA algorithm, a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And best part is like you will start learning how does Linux works. So Linux comes with a lot of tools like terminal, working on terminal, understanding how, the commands. I think there are a few questions when they are like virtual boxes where you have to, just get inside into it. So they are the
Yeah.
best, they are the like extremely well, because you don't have much of a hint. You will use your mind, you will use your skill, uh, from all of the part. Like it could be exploiting exploiting a code, exploiting some vulnerable piece of code, or
Yeah.
maybe some configuration violation, something like that. So it's the best, but I think it's very pro level kind of thing. I
We're
haven't.
act-
Sorry. Yeah,
we are actually keeping sessions on that on privilege
oh, that's
escalation.
great.
So like
That's
if
great.
someone has an access, how can
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
exploit a misconfiguration or
Yeah.
something like writability C
That's
password
amazing.
file and get a root access.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah.
And I think,
So
yeah, go ahead.
please continue. Yeah. Sorry.
No, no, I was just saying, like, as you mentioned, like, CTF, like, with the help of CTF, you learn a lot because not just, like, for example, a very common CTF question is you're given the RSA values and you have to find the
Hmm.
key.
Hmm.
And so, in that case, you not just need to know about RSA, but you need to know about the weakness of RSA.
Yeah.
So, it's like learning both side of the coins, and yeah,
Sanjana says previous question session coming on 20th. Nice.
yeah,
That's great. Anyways, I was saying like you can take an inspiration from my resume,
sure.
but I won't say it's the best. I don't know. But you can take an inspiration, you can understand like what I have done, and you can just don't replicate it. I won't say to replicate anyone's path. Like maybe I have done something, it might won't work for you, right? So I think you have to set your own path. You can take inspiration from a lot of people and make your own path. That's the best thing you can do. I mean, I also used to take inspiration from many people. There's a very nice YouTube channel called Live Overflow. He's a good guy, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, so you will learn a lot of things from him. So I used to learn a lot of things from him. There's a IPSEC. So what I was talking about, uh, finding vulnerability in virtual boxes. So he used to do that.
yeah,
He still does that, I guess. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I think I have stopped following all this stuff now after my college life. But yeah, so you can learn from different people and you can create your own path. So that's the best thing you can do. So you can take inspiration from the resume, and this format is very standard. You can use in any company. I mean, I have heard question from few people. Bhaiya, like, is there any standard resume format for different companies? It's not like that. You
Yeah.
can have any, you can have any resume. I mean, we are living in literally in 2022, and you're talking about resume. I mean, right now everything is getting automated, so
True.
you don't have to care about resume much, because you put any resume on big companies, it's going through computer, it's not going through humans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, okay. So if you can share the link of the resume, maybe then,
Sorry. Yep.
yeah. So you can put it in the chat, or yeah. I mean, you are a production engineer at Meta, so like your resume is going to be one of the best. So
I mean,
that's for
not
sure.
my it's not my resume. Sorry, my the content are mine, but contents are
Yeah.
mine, but format is, I told you, Saurabh Bajaj. Credit
Yeah.
goes to that guy. He's working in Google, I guess.
So my next question was that when it comes to SRE, a lot of thing is that they need to be prepared for a 24/7 on call. Like
Yeah,
as you
yeah,
said, like for the Facebook when that thing happened. So
yeah.
like, is it like the SREs have to be then and there present and try to fix the issue?
Yes, yes. Just like doctors were the frontline people in COVID crisis,
Yeah.
similar. If some operational crisis are happening, we are the frontline people. So the
That's
heroes
great.
who don't wear caps, and people don't see, more of a blabbering. But yeah, what I was saying. So when this happened, the Facebook outage happened. So we are the people who will be on call first, and we will be fixing stuff. And it's not like that. Many people fear about on calls. Even software engineers are on calls, right? So if you are, yeah, even software engineers are on call. Like, let's say you have developed a feature in an app, which is payment system. Simple,
Yeah.
that simple,
Yeah.
as simple as that. Let's say Swiggy is there, and you are ordering something, and there's a bug or something, and the payment is not happening, or maybe somebody is able to bypass that payment, session. what
Yeah.
what will happen? So I am not the person, I'm not the right person to ask that question or explain that issue with me, because I don't know how you have implemented it.
True.
The
Makes sense.
software engineers are who have implemented this, right? So we'll ask questions to them, what you have done, because it's not a reliable issue, it's
True.
just a feature issue, it's a
Yeah.
bug, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So software engineers are also on call, so they take care about customer support. So if there's any problem with the customers, they will take care of that. If there's an issue with the uh, reliability, if there's an outage, we are the people who will be questioned first. So yeah. So it's not like just SREs are on calls. Even managers are on calls. Even data scientists are on calls. So if one model starts failing, so why should you go to manager, or why should you go to software engineers? They are
Makes
the
sense.
data scientists who will be responsible for that.
True. True. So my next question is like we have heard that in SD and SWs has various labels like L1,
Just a
L2.
moment. Just one minute. I
Sure.
think Pratik has one good question. He asked, but on-call engineers are rotated in my company on a weekly basis. That's true. You are not the only one person who will be responsible for the, I mean, just one service for a whole month. It rotates on weekly basis. So there is a team who is responsible for one or two or three services, and you will be the first person, or POC. They call POC, point of contact, for that week. And next week will be different person, and the other week will be different person, something like that. So it's not like you will be the only on call for all the weeks. No. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. So my question was like SDs and SWEs has various levels like SD1, SD2. Does SRE have some sort of something like that as well? Oh,
Yeah, why not? So basically, uh, in Google or Microsoft, or I'm talking about
yeah.
Fang or whatever it is, the lingo is. So in these companies, you don't get hired for software engineers, you don't get hired for data scientists, you don't get hired for production engineers, site reliability engineer. You get hired on levels. So in Google, I think the lingo is L3, L4, L5, L6.
Yeah.
In Facebook and Microsoft is IC, IC3, IC4, IC5, IC6, something like that. So these are levels of engineering roles. So you get hired on these in on these levels. That is why the pay is same, be it data scientist, be it any role.
Got
So
it.
you get hired on role, and because of that, the pay is same. And in small companies, you get hired for software engineer or data scientist or web developer or something.
Yeah.
But in these big companies, you get hired on particular level. So that if you match that level, you will have the same pay. So you can grow from IC3, IC4, IC5, and then if you check on levels.fyi, is it a good website? I think
Yeah.
levels.fyi. As far as I remember. Yes, it's levels.fyi. So there's a good understanding of how does the level look like in each company and the pay as well. I'm not asking you to be money minded, but
Yeah.
you can have an understanding from here. Sorry, I think in Microsoft it is SD, SD2, SD, senior SD, principal SD, something like that. So you follow the same rule. I mean, SRE, SRE2, senior SRE, lead SRE, principal, and then VP, and then
Yeah.
director, something like that. So it's the same thing.
Got it. And right now, so like my next question is that like gradually newer technologies are coming up, and new frameworks are coming up. So like
Yeah.
uh, uh, how does an SRE is or someone who is an just joined as an SRE can keep themselves updated with the new let's say the tools that are coming up, or the how do they keep updated with the technology around them?
Can you give
Like
me
how
some
do you
examples? No, I didn't get you. Can you give me some examples?
so let's say like 5 years ago before
Yeah.
the monitoring tools or the logging tools were
Ah.
different,
Mm-hmm.
for sure, like, and
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
they have changed. Now
Yeah.
there are maybe the different protocols through which monitoring is happening,
Yeah.
or root cause analysis is happening. So how to keep the keep updated with this kind of thing when you're in the industry?
Right. I mean, the best part is like 90% won't change. I mean, the concept is same, right? So 90% of the time you develop tools in C++ or Python. Are they going to change very soon? I mean, maybe some language can replace Python. It could be Go.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about C++, nobody is going to replace it. I mean, this early, because C++ is very close to system and it's very fast. So if you're talking to system and you want it to be very fast, make it more, I mean, with less latency, then you write code in C++.
Yeah.
And I think for SREs, it's the most of a developing tools or interacting with the systems rather than using these third-party tools. So let's say people are in the industry use Grafana for dashboard stuff.
Yeah.
There is ELK stack, Elasticsearch. So they use it for logging their service logs, as well as they use it for monitoring stuff. But I mean, uh, the understanding won't change, right? You want to monitor a service, you are just using an API, right, to push your data to Elasticsearch, and then asking Kibana to fetch it from Elasticsearch and create a nice dashboard. So it's not a big deal. If things changes, people can Splunk, Datadog, yeah, list goes on. So it's just it's just a matter of changing the API. I mean, it's just a matter, it's just configuration change. That's it. I think config change, nothing else.
Got it.
But in the end, if you talk about software engineering thing, it changes a lot, right? You are
Yeah.
If you're front end engineers, you're front end engineer, you are working on React, and you change your company, and now you are using Angular,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or Vue, or I think many things are coming in picture. But I think if you know JavaScript, that's a core
Yeah.
language. So if you know it, you can easily grasp it. I mean, just give it a week or 2 week, and you can understand the uh, ins and outs of any framework. But if you don't know the system designing behind it, the the algorithms, what you want to write, let's say, uh, in WhatsApp itself. You are sorting your message based on time, right?
Hmm.
So let's say there is like very bad algorithm you have written for sorting that. So that's not good, right? So you
Yeah.
and uh, or maybe in your Google Chrome. So this long thing that you keep on creating new tabs. I think it's
Yeah.
double linked list. So you can go up and down, up and down, up and down, right?
Yeah.
So it's based on double linked list.
Hmm.
So if there's a very you have implemented very bad data structure for it, so that's not good. So in the end, like you should be strong at your core subject,
Got
and
it.
any framework can come go. You can adapt it very quickly. For SREs, it's not going to happen a lot. For
Mm-hmm.
SDs, it can happen, but I think if they are good at fundamentals, it's not going to affect anyone.
Okay. Yeah, that answers the question.
Yeah,
Moving on, like, would like to share your interview experience at Meta. Like,
yeah.
how many stages were there? What were the questions like? If you can.
Sure, I can go ahead with that. But before that, could you check the chat if there's any
Sure.
relevant question I can answer?
So in the Q&A, we have,
Oh,
is
you
there a
have.
roadmap to get better at SRE? Um,
Oh, there are many questions.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, we just missed it. Yeah.
So Pratik is asking if there is any roadmap to get better at SRE or yeah. So,
Roadmap. Yeah. So to be honest, right now I don't have a roadmap. I just told you like what can you do to upskill you upskill yourself. But I am working on that to create a better roadmap for people, and I can put it on YouTube. You can just follow it. Sorry, I didn't share the link as well for YouTube channel, but I don't have it right now. I haven't created one. So once I create, I think probably in next month,
yeah.
so I'll put one proper roadmap, because I don't want to blabber right now, because I don't know. To be honest, I don't know any proper roadmap. So I want to make it proper and put it on YouTube so that you can have better understanding about it. That answered the question. Not answered, partially answered the question. And I'll write it down for you.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
so next question by Preet is, can you share some good resource for SRE other than the Google SRE books?
Yes, I can. Let me check.
I'm not sure if it's good or bad, but there is something called LinkedIn School of SRE that.
Yes, that's good. And I know the person. He's a
Wow.
very good guy who created that LinkedIn School of SRE. His name is, I think, Kalyan. So he's a good guy. He used to work at that time.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I can share.
There's this awesome SRE repository on GitHub. I like it very much. What is right? Place to put the answer. Good.
Sure, I'll just copy it and post.
Never mind. I need it. Never mind.
Oh, cool. I hope that answers your question. And many services. I think that's Pratik is answering someone else's, but that's not a question, maybe.
Yeah. There are many
So,
services in DevOps like this. That's right. But these are tools for DevOps, not for SREs. SREs can use these tools, but not necessarily. Depends on team, depends on company. But yeah, these are the tools. What are some companies that hire freshers as upon doing some research? I found that most require at least 2-3 years of experience. Should we apply for those anyway? Dude, I literally joined Meta.net from my college. I had zero years of experience, Ashwini. So that's not true all the time. I mean, you have to filter those roles out, like which require experience, which doesn't, which like yeah. Even I think for Facebook, what is this called? I don't remember. So there's a program similar to, I think, Step Google. What Google does, Step Google, Step into
Google Step,
something like
yeah.
what it is actually. I mean,
So,
students who go for this
Yeah, so
internship
it's
thing?
like for the minority sections, people who are
Yeah.
underrepresented in the tech. For them,
Yeah.
Google gives this opportunity. It's mainly for the second year students. So like they get a summer internship opportunity at Google.
Right. Right. Right.
It's internship
So,
come mentorship opportunity. Yeah.
yes. So Facebook also has for production engineering. Ah, yeah. It's, I think, discovering PE. Just search on Google for discovering PE. Discovering PE. So these are for. No, it's not that. Discover production engineer. Yeah, Facebook products. Discover production engineering program. This one. So it's a similar to a step thing for but for production engineers. So they ask you to come for internship. They will mentor you. If they like you, they will give you a full-time job.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know about this.
yeah. There is this Facebook careers. I also got to know about this recently.
I see. And yeah, I think we have pretty much covered all the questions from the audience. I had
Yeah,
one more question in which can I apply? I think, Pratik, if you go through the website, I think it will be covered. Mm,
yeah. You were uh, asking some question, right? What was it? Interview experience.
yeah, I was asking about your interview experience at Meta.
Any more question or just that?
I have that question, and then I have another question, which is, so
Okay.
should I ask that?
I mean, yeah, we can put interview experience at the last.
Okay, so Mike, this question is kind of like an open end, like it's not very, I don't know. So uh, right now, the tech giants are that are using, having this SRE roles is all of these are having something like centralized server. But now that Web3 is coming up, which is decentralized, and if some company who is having their business or product on a decentralized web, will
Hmm.
that will an SRE role still be relevant, or like does that still is
Why
going to
not?
play?
Why not? I mean, why not? Tell me why not? I mean, if it's a decentralized environment,
Mhm.
are those computers going to take care of themselves by themselves?
Okay, that's that kind of answer. Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
mean, I mean, decentralized thing could be something like different for application stuff, because
Mhm.
now you're not storing your data on one central
Yeah.
computer, or not asking for data and putting data in some central system, but it's like a copy of all of those data are stored in all of the participants in that circle, right? So that, I mean, in basic terms, you can say that, right? What decentralization mean?
Yeah.
So there's no central database, there's no central server. In
Hmm.
fact, everybody is server, everybody is database. You can put data,
Yeah, every node in the network.
but it's not going to change the fact that there will be some engineers required to keep that decentralized system reliable. Because at the end, you are saving data in a computer. You're not
Hmm.
saving data in some magic formula. So I,
Yeah.
I mean, it has become really, really crazy. Like people are thinking about decentralized, and it's like different concept. Then at the end, it's computers. All the data are on computers. Even software engineers will be required. Even maybe machine learning engineers will not. Maybe definitely machine learning engineers will be required. All
Hmm.
the engineers will be required. Is it is just that you're not storing data in one particular point of source. It's just you're just distributing all the data. That's it.
Got
I
it.
mean, yeah,
Like there will be a need of reliability engineers even for that, but maybe like the way reliability they used to work in a traditional single
yeah.
centralized structure, it would get a bit different because like normally you have access to the the Facebook servers, you have access to the
Obviously,
databases and everything, but in a
obviously,
decentralized you won't have that.
that's true for software engineers as well, right?
True, yeah, that's true for something. Yeah,
That's true for software. People are learning Solidity. Why?
for for programming
Yeah,
in the yeah.
So it's I mean, it's a just different, I mean, different thing. But at the end, like if you know JavaScript and all, you can you can still create some web app in Web3, right?
Yeah, true, true.
But you have to unlearn those traditional things that you used to learn, used to have when you were traditional software engineer, right? You were putting the data in some centralized database, or getting the data from some centralized database, or same in the same way, like you used to create a backend server which used to have some APIs which were talking to this centralized database. But
Yeah,
now that changes, right? The backend
true.
changes, and the system where you're storing the data changes. But
Yeah.
still, there will be room for reliability. There will be room for making things more faster. And I guess like most of the people are busy doing that in decentralized environment, because it's it is in its nascent form, right? It
Yeah.
hasn't developed yet. It is developing. So people like who are good at systems, they will be required a lot, because now everything is going to change. So the
True.
so that skill is required to create different systems. Yeah.
So Pratik has asked another question that there are some companies that are getting into ML ops. Do you think this is a requirement in the industry? Will it be a valid job in the future? ML ops.
MLOps, their companies. I think obviously it would be. I mean, as far as my experience says, because if you know about GitHub Pilot,
Yeah.
so they are on the mission to, I think, automate software engineering roles, maybe, because you are writing something in React, and it is giving the most of the boilerplate that you require.
True. True. Yeah.
So what if there's a system that GitHub creates, and the designers are creating some design for the website, and it's passing that design to us, to a model, and it just gives you the code. I mean, I don't think like it's an impossible thing. It could be possible.
Yeah.
So ML ops can come into picture, because if more people are into, I mean, most of the things are going into machine learning stuff, be it self-driving car,
True.
or a lot of stuff, I guess. Yeah. So I think ML ops are thing, but uh, I mean, they change they change the nomenclature. Like, I mean, they give nomenclature for different stuff like ML ops or DevOps, or I mean, I don't know like what ops, but I don't find, I mean, relevant. It could be an SRE. So SRE also, SRE or PE in big companies, they are working in some team which is working for machine learning team. So they could be called ML ops, right? Or
Makes
some
sense. Yeah.
teams are working for web apps, so you can call it web foundation team. So I mean, it's it doesn't make any relevance for me, I guess. But yeah, the operational stuff, I mean, they won't vanish, because as long as computers are running,
Yeah.
there will be some manual intervention required to make it running, keep it running. There will be people required in data centers to, I mean, if you get a chance to visit data center in your lifetime, just visit it and you will understand what happens in data center. So there are more engineering required, like mechanical engineers are working to understand, or maybe environment engineers are working to understand how to keep the things cool in most efficient way, as in cost minimization, or uh, impacting environment in, I mean, not impacting environment in evil form, right?
Yeah.
So there's like CO2 footprint, something like that. A lot of things are there when data centers are running. So it's not like that. So there are a lot of engineering required for running a big giants.
True.
Facebook has a lot of I think data centers. Even Google has a lot of data centers, and they are creating a lot of waste, environmental waste as well. So they also need to cut down that waste.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So
And
operational tasks will be required, and even if I said, I mean, maybe people can get offended because of I said that because of GitHub Copilot. I'm sorry, but uh, it won't get automated for all of the people there. But I think they can automate and cut the human resource by maybe 20%, 30%, or 40%, but it won't be 100%. I mean, as long as, I mean, computers are stupid as long as humans are not there.
yeah.
So you so we are the one who make it intelligent. So but uh, I mean, people still wash their clothes with hands, and most people wash their clothes with washing machine. So you can get the gist. Yeah, yeah.
True, true. Yeah. And yeah, that pretty much covered all the questions that I had. And if there is something from the audience, maybe we can pick that up. I'll just go from.
Copilot, that's the variety. या मेरे को कंट्रोवर्सी मत डालो प्लीज. Back to your last question, I guess.
Yeah,
Interview
interview
experience, yeah.
experience at Meta.
Right. So uh, it was very overwhelming, I would say. So I think it started in the month of May, and I got the uh, offer letter in June, July, May, June. I think July.
Okay.
Yeah, I think July. Yeah, in the first week of July, and it started in May, at the mid of May. So I won't be telling you which questions were answered because of NDA,
Yeah.
but I can definitely share you the experience. So experience was very smooth. So I just applied on Facebook, and then I got the interview call, and uh, so the first round would be something like screening round. So if you're not experienced and if you're not at good company, I have heard that you will go through a screening process and then on-site interview. But if you're fresher, or if you're working in some company with less experience, less number of years of experience, so you will go through screening round as well. So I went through a screening round. So there were like few questions, like very basic questions, when the recruiter asked me on phone. Once you pass through that, so he or she will ask you, do you have to, I mean, they will ask you for availability for screening round. For production engineer, it involves some systems round and coding round as well. For SREs, in screen round is just coding round, one round. And then once you pass it, if you have done wrong or if you have done well, in both scenario, they will come to you and give you a feedback. So if you have done wrong, then they will tell you, like, they will touch all those points where you have gone wrong, and they will ask you to improve and come back again. And
Okay.
if you have passed the bar, they will give you feedback that you have done this well, this well, this well, and but you were missing this part. So they will give you that kind of feedback, and that's the best part, I believe. And once you pass this screening round, they will ask you for your availability again for on-site. Now this non-COVID scenario, it used to happen that you used to go to a site as in wherever you are applying. If you're applying in London, you will go to London. If you're applying in US, you will go to US places. If you're applying in Singapore, I mean, I'm just talking about Facebook. So I think there's no engineering office in India. There are offices for business units, but not for engineering units. So wherever you apply, you go to that site. That's why it's called on-site interview. But since there was COVID crisis at that moment, they made it virtual on-site interview, and then I went through virtual part. So they will ask you to break it down in 2 days. 2 days, or you have option to make it in one day. But since I had 5.5 hour of difference between the Indian time and GMT time, so I asked to make it in 2 days, and Then that process includes 5 rounds for P's, and for Swedes, I think it's 4 round. Yeah, I think it's 4 round. So for SVs, it will be two coding rounds, and then system design, and then behavioral round. It's basically they will be asking about questions from your resume or about your behavior, why you want to join, something like that. Basic
Yeah.
questions. It's not basic questions. They will try to uh, learn about you basically. And for P's, it's 5 rounds. One will be systems, networking, coding, system design, and then behavioral round, 5 rounds. Yeah. So I went through this process in 2 days, and after a week or two, I think after 2 weeks, I got the reply that I did well in the interview, and we are going to extend an offer letter to you. But uh, in Facebook and Google, there's something called headcount. So they will hire you, and they will wait for headcount in particular location. It could be, so when I was getting hired, the two locations were available. One is Dublin, and another was London. So they will even ask you for like preferred location. So I preferred London over Dublin, and so they will revert you back with the headcounts. So when they uh, gave me an informal offer letter. So they said that right now headcount is not available, but you can wait a week or so. The best part is for Facebook and Google, I think even Microsoft, I think maybe even for all the FANG companies. So once you get an offer letter, you will have 1 year of time frame. You can accept the offer. So that 1 year time frame is valid. Like the offer letter is valid for that 1 year time frame. From the moment you get an informal offer letter. So I got that, and then I waited for headcounts for another 2 weeks, and I got the headcount in London, and then they sent me offer letter. I read it, I signed it, and I joined. I mean, joined after a few months
Yeah.
because I had to serve notice period in my last
Notice.
company. Yeah.
Wow, that's a great experience.
Yeah, I mean it's a huge amount of time when you compare it with, I think, the last interview that I had before. So it's a matter of like 2.5 months or 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everything is very smooth. Like once you get the offer, the relocation part is you don't have to do much. You just have to produce your documents and just sign here and there, and then you are good to go.
Amazing. Yeah. Pratik has one question.
Sure.
What are the level of coding rounds like code forces level C or D?
I don't know about code forces.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm sorry. I don't know about code forces, but I prepared from lead code, and even when you are preparing, even Facebook, Google, all of them ask you to prepare from lead code. So you can prepare from there, and I think for P's, you will be asked few DS algo question, but since they are not multiple rounds, so that part won't be that uh, hard as Swiss, because the hardest part comes into picture when you are into system design, networking, and systems. So there will be asked a lot of questions around scenarios kind of questions. But for coding, still you have to. I think till you can do some medium questions in lit code, easy medium questions, and touch few hard questions. So and you're good to go.
Yeah. So that answers Pratik's question. Uh, we have
But
actually.
you don't have
Yeah.
to go hardcore DSL go. You can learn few data structure and algorithm like queues, stacks, trees, little bit trees and graphs. But you don't have to go very hardcore like what Swiss do. So if you are, let's say, if you covered 40 to 50% of what Swiss do, I mean, Swiss candidates do, you are good to go for P. Yeah.
Great. Um, is there any more questions you can ask? Feel free to ask. And Rahul, Bhaiya, do you have any tips for your juniors over here? Anything you would like to say?
Tips.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of tips throughout the session, but yeah, any
Yeah, yeah.
closing remarks?
Closing remarks. What should I say?
Maybe.
So I think
Yeah,
I have told a lot of things about career and all. Let's talk
yeah,
about life thing.
yeah,
So
sure.
right now people are, I think, yeah, as far as I know, like you guys went to college and came back. Yeah.
Yeah, just
So
one year.
that yeah, that must be frustrating. But yeah, this is like testing time, and you should, and lot of friends who are, your friends and friend circle must have gone, a little bit distracted, or a little bit, have gone bad in some scenario. But you should, keep on uh, interacting with your friends at this time. That's very important. I mean, as long as you are doing good in your career, as long as you're doing good in any term, but in
Yeah,
the end you require your family and friends to enjoy whatever you achieve,
true, true.
right?
Yeah,
So more of a philosophical talk now.
yeah,
So
like yeah,
yeah, so what I would say that uh, working in a company, working for any job, and earning money, everything is created by humans, not the nature itself. Nature
true.
created humans, and you should interact with human. You should have a, relationship with humans, be it friends, your family, anything. So while you're, uh, preparing for some career, preparing for some interviews, you should also consider friends and family, because at the end, when you achieve something, you need your friends and families around you to celebrate. Otherwise,
True.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
So have that. Be in touch with your friends, even though you are going virtual now. So
Yeah,
that's very, very important. And in the end, I'll uh, shamelessly promote my YouTube channel. You can come there, and I'll try to uh, teach you guys
sure.
whatever I know.
hmm
Yeah,
Please share the link. We will be waiting for that.
I
Yeah.
don't have a link right now, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like in future, do share it with us. Maybe we can
sure.
just put it in our Discord group. Yeah. And yeah, I think with that, we pretty much come to an end. It was like a 1.5 hour of this conversation. It's really nice having a conversation with you after so long. I think the last time we were talking was about Google Summer of Code. It's
Yeah,
like 2 years back,
yeah,
and
and I'm happy that many people have done well in that area as well.
yeah, we're trying to,
That's good.
yeah.
That's good. Like,
Um,
keep on developing, keep on what you guys are doing, and I think Code IST has grown a lot thanks to you
yes,
guys, and we are proud of you. Very, very proud of you, all
thanks,
of us.
thanks a lot. Yeah. Um, I think we will just end with that note.
Yeah,
Thanks to everyone for joining. Thanks again, Rahul Bhaiya, for finding the
thank
time and
you.
keeping this session.
Thank
Uh,
you for
we'll,
having me. Yeah,
we will be sharing the recording in the YouTube video. You can access it through our YouTube channel as well. So
sure.
with that, bye everyone. Bye Rahul. Take
Bye
care.
bye. Bye bye. You too.
Thank you.